Kinisa, Walaliuk. Thank you. My name is Jeorgina Laracque. That's the government name, as I call it. My name really is Sahaligus, which means plant woman, or she who flies high and free. I came under the tutelage of my grandmother at the age of 6 when I couldn't walk. And she was the one that got me on my legs again, and now as I age, I'm getting back to that point again too. But she used plants, and she used herbs, and she used roots. She used all kinds of things to help me grow and help me move and get the movement back in my legs. She knew Reiki, as you call it. She knew therapeutic touch. She knew chiropractic. There was a lot of different things that she knew, and she taught me those. But my love was with what's right in front of me, and this big tree that's at the back of us. It's nice that they call it the talking tree. 2 years ago, I stood here with my daughter when she got married. And it was beautiful then, and it still is. It is wonderful to look out there and see what's growing around us, because sometimes we walk by and we don't. When I look at the ground here, what I see is medicines and food, and people don't even know that that's under their feet. I look at the plantain that can be gathered and dried for the winter to become soups during the cold winter days, and the dandelion that will help me with bladder infections. There are others, plants like heal-all, and of course the further out you go, this is pretty trampled, but the further out you go, the more it is, and if it's not been cut, it gets bigger and bigger. There is so much out there for us. But first you have to respect it, be thankful for it, and ask for what you want. So if you're looking for food, ask. And there are all kinds of plants that can provide that. Everything from dandelion to arrowhead. Dandelion can provide your coffee that you like so much in the morning. And all of the other plants provide teas. It is wonderful to see the colors. Just as we are different, our fingerprints are different. The plants are different as well. And they belong to families too. So this is one of the beautiful things. Being thankful for every moment of every day is the most wonderful place to live. And doing what I do, I am there with the traditions, with the ceremonies, with all that I do. It's a way of life. People have asked me, well, it's a religion. No. It's a total way of life that is so important. And it brings you closer and closer and closer to nature around you and to the earth, to the sky, to the water, everything that is there. I started to walk at the age of 8, and I went to school, and it was very difficult for me because I had lost the first 2 years. So in order to catch up, those younger years were very hard. But it didn't stop me from what I wanted to do. And when I grew up, I wanted to graduate. So at 36, I graduated from high school. I went back to school. That's what I wanted, I got it. But I still continue to do the work I do. Then I went into politics for a while. And then I came back again to the plants and the work I love. Then it was working with the Healing and Wellness Foundation and the work with residential school survivors. And now I'm back with the plants again. So I'm always coming. I go and I return. But they're always a big part of my home, a big part of my winter food, a big part of my life in the medicines and the teas I make. Is there any questions? Now you're not going to let me sit here by myself. Come on. Not one? That's okay.
I'm going to ask the first question.
Okay.
What are some of your favorite plants that you like to gather, and why?
Some of the favorite plants I like to gather is the ones that I use when I talk to children about if they get lost in the woods, or people who get lost in the woods. Basically, it's, be careful and don't panic. Well, B is burdock. Careful is cattails. D is dandelion. And P is plantain. So those are the 4 plants that if you can remember that, you're going to be okay, because you need to stay put where you are. First thing you do is you get your shelter, make your fire, and if you make the fire, they can find you. And this is one of the big things. Cattails grow along every river and brook and lake that you can find. They'll be in every ditch in the woods that you walk by. Dandelions will find their way into the woods along the roads, and people with the 4-wheelers bring the seeds in, and they plant and they grow along the sides of the roads. Plantain, the same thing. And the burdock will find a place somewhere, and it is the grandmother of all plants, and its gift is the liver, but its root is edible, and so is the pith in the stalk. Plantain can be eaten just gathered and put in the mouth and eaten that way if you're really, really hungry. But it also is great for mosquito bites, for bee stings, for wasp stings, and anything along that way. So when you get all those blackberry scratches when you're in the woods because you've been munching on them, the plantain will help to ease that itching and burning that's there. So I would say those are probably the 4, because it helps to teach the children and what is necessary for their survival if they ever got lost, whether it's in the woods or an open field or along a lake or a river or a brook or somewhere and they got separated. If they could remember those 4, then they've got a chance for survival.
I have a question.
Okay.
Something about dandelion.
Yes. Dandelion in the fall is great because you can take and you can gather the roots. That's when they're at their best. They've done their flowering, their leaves are dying down, and all the goodness is going back into the long taproot. So you gather the roots in the fall and you bring them in the house, you wash them, and then you cut them up in slices or chunk them in, chop them up, not big pieces but smaller, and you put them on a cookie sheet and put them in the oven for 200 degrees for a couple of hours. They'll get a real nice dark brown and your house smells of coffee. And then you take them out and they can be ground up like you would coffee beans, and then you take and you can use them the same way as you would in a drip coffee. And it tastes the same too, only it is much better for you because there's no caffeine in it. The other thing it's great for the bladder and the kidneys. So it really is a blessing and a bonus there. So.
You can eat the leaves.
Oh, you can eat the leaves in the spring? Yeah, when they're not bitter, because right there now they're very bitter, so you have to put them through 2 waters and that. So you would boil them in 1 water, dump that out, and then redo it again. They're not quite as bitter. And you can serve it with a bit of butter and salt and pepper, and they're good. Yeah, same thing. And the roots can be eaten as vegetables too. I used to feed them for the kids, and I'd put them through 2 waters, and I'd do them in a butter sauce, and they're really good that way too in the summer. Anybody else?
How do we find these other plants then?
The ones I spoke of? They're not hard to find. They're where people live. Plantain's right in front of you. It's right here. It's growing everywhere in your lawn. Burdock will grow sometimes along the edge of your property, and you can't miss it because they're about maybe can go up to 5 feet high, and they're the ones that got those burrs there that stick to your clothing or stick to the dog's fur. That's burdock. And the leaves in those are used for varicose veins, and the root is very good for the liver and the blood. So, it's an added bonus, an added blessing. Anybody else? Plantain, dandelion, and cattails. Des canouilles, as they say in French. Des canouilles. And the canoe. Yeah, the canoes and that. Cattails are wonderful because the whole plant is usable. The roots in the fall provide a flower, okay, and it's just the method of drying them that makes the difference. They're full of little hairs, little fibers, and you need to use a mallet to, a rubber mallet is better, and you pound the roots when they're dry, and you separate those little threads out of there. Right there now, we're in the time of what we call a Cossack asparagus. So that means the bottom part, about that long, where you break it off from the base, that's your Cossack asparagus. Really good, boil it up, or you can use it fresh. The tops are beginning to form now, but you're getting a top part above the cattail itself. This is the real Indian corn. That is the old Indian corn. When that comes into full fruitation, and that it has a beautiful pollen that is there with it, and you can take that pollen and shake it into a bag, put it into stews, into cookies, cakes, into soups, and it really is very, very nutritious. The leaves I like them too because we can weave them into mats. So you can make mats or place mats for your table. You can make them into bigger mats for the floors, and they were used in all kinds of things. They can be used in making boats, in rafts, all kinds of stuff. And the down that's in that cattail that everybody hates, that was once used in, what do you call them? They're the jackets they wear when you go out on the boat, life jackets. And also they were used in aviator jackets during World War II. So they have a lot of uses. It's just that we don't know what they're used for. So the next time you see a cattail in a ditch, be thankful for what it can give you. Or the next time that plantain on your lawn is nice and green, be thankful that it can provide you with a nice soup in the winter. Or the dandelion can give you your coffee. And all you got to do is catch the fish to have the protein. And there you go, you got a whole meal ahead of you. Anything else?
What other plants would be good for somebody to know about for medical or first aid?
Red clover is a very good one to have around because it's a tonic tea. Coltsfoot is another one. It is green on the top and white underneath, and it looks like the imprint of a young colt's foot. And it has a flower that's very much like a dandelion, the first flower of spring. That one is very good because you can roll the leaves up, take the middle vein out, roll the leaves up, and then you can chop it and put it into spaghetti instead of the salt. So it has salts in it that you don't need to add the salt to your stews or your spaghetti sauce. It also makes an incredible tea in the fall for hunters and fishermen who go out and they come back and they're all chilled and they just can't get warm. Then coltsfoot is a tea for that will take that away, you know. So those are a couple of them. There's rose petals is another one that is phenomenal, and the rose hips that it gives you in the fall, which is higher in vitamin C on the outside, and the seeds inside are full of vitamin E. So nature provides us with a massive amount of vitamins, and we can get it and utilize it in our food. Anybody else?
Can you talk about the tree that we have?
The grandmothers keep telling me it's a Telia, and it's a linden tree, and it's just beautiful. The smell that's coming from that tree is gorgeous, and it's there to be recognized for all of its beauty. And what a great place to have the talking tree in the background as that. It's just phenomenal. I'm glad it's there, because to see some of these older trees, the bigger ones, these are trees that you can't put your arms around to hug because they're just too big, you know, and it's not very often anymore we see trees of this size, because a lot of them have been cut. So it's a blessing that's there. Okay. And I will say to you, Walaliok, thank you, or as the true translation is, we thank you. So I thank you for being here today and welcoming me. Walaliok.